All right, let's continue. So we're talking the fourth root of 648. So we have to think a little outside the box. And if you're looking over here at the notes, yeah, unfortunately, these aren't going to help you. I didn't put the right ones up here. So if I have 3 to the 4th, it gives me 81. So what I just did in my calculator was I just did, 648 divided by 2, I tried to divide it by 16, got a decimal. All right, didn't work. Divided by, because of the 4th right here. So then I went, so let's take it and divide it by 81. Now when we do that, we get 8. So 648 is the same thing as 81 times 8. Now this is important because since we're taking the 4th root, we have to be able to take the 4th root of it. Now 81 is the same thing as 3 to the 4th. All right, now 8 is the same thing as 2 to the 3rd, but since we're talking about the 4th root, the 8 doesn't really matter to us. We're just going to leave it there. So the 4th root of 3 to the 4th is a 3, so 3 pops out. And then we still have the 4th root of 8 left inside. Just can't do anything there. All right. Now, I do have to leave you a few to do on your own. I'm going to leave you 7 to do on your own. 6, I know that is the same thing as 16 times 5. All right, just a square root. So you should have all the squares kind of memorized. Anyway, the square root of 16 is 4, so if 4 pops up, guess what the square root of 5 is? It's just the square root of 5. So it stays right there. Now, whenever a number ends in a 5 or a 0, it has to be divisible by 5. That's why I put these on here. And we're going to hope that 125 goes into it because of the 3 right there. So let's see. That's 125. This is the 3rd root. And then 125 times 2 gives me 250. So this would be like the 3rd root of 5 to the 3rd times 2. So this would be 5, and then the 3rd root of 2. And that's how you simplify that one. All right, those 4 done. Next up, we have a square root here. I'm going to give you a hint on this one. It's the same thing as 36 times 2. You keep going after that. Then on number 10. On number 10, 4th root. So this is the same thing. Look right here. 16 goes into 48 3 times. So this is a times sign symbol right here. So this is the 4th root of 2 to the 4th times 3. So we have a 2 pop out, and then I have the 4th root of 3 right in there. And that's going to be your simplified radical. Now, I'm also going to try and help you out down here. This is going to be the same thing as 64 times 5. So then you keep working with that one, breaking it down. It's not finished unless you finish it. And then down here, I have the 3rd power. So this would be, I'm going to use these same 2 factors. We're doing 320 both sides, but this is the 3rd root of 320. So I'm going to say 64 times 5 again. However, this is the piece of information that's truly important to me because I know that since we're taking the 3rd root, I have to turn into a cube, if you will. All right, so the 3rd root of 4 to the 3rd is 4. And then I have the 3rd root of 5. It's done. But the same thing wouldn't be said over here. Since we're talking the square root of 64 is 8. And then the square root of 5 is the square root of 5. So those are going to be different for those 2 reasons. All right. Moving on. All right, so square root. I am going to help you out on 384 because I was having trouble with it before. I know that is the same thing as, since we're talking the square root, 64 times 6. Just wanted to help you out there. And then over here, this is 36 times 5. Giving you a little hint there. You can do 18 on your own. I'm going to help you with 14 because it's a negative one. All right, so let's talk about that. You can take the odd root of a negative. That's perfectly fine. If this were a square root of negative 160, we would put no real solution. We'll talk more about this in the future. However, that's an odd root. If the number in here is odd, then you can take the odd root of a negative number. All right, you just can. So this would be the same thing as the 5th root of negative 1 times 32 times 5, because 160 breaks down to 32 times 5. So the 5th root of let's see here, I'll rewrite it again. Negative 1 times, this is 2 to the 5th times 5. The 5th root of negative 1 is negative 1. The 5th root of 2 to the 5th is 2. And then the 5th root of 5 is just the 5th root of 5. So then our final simplified radical here is going to be negative 2 and then the 5th root of 5. That's it, completely simplified there. All right, moving on. Hopefully these are getting easier. I have a little bit of notes down at the bottom there. These are both the fifth power. That's why I have the fives here, here, and here. I pulled those from the chart for everyone. And let's see here. 256. That's going to be the same thing as, I'm assuming 32 goes into it. And it goes into it 8 times. All right, so since 32 is the same thing as 2 to the 5th, this will be 2, and then the 5th root. You can't do anything with the 8 since it's the 5th root of 8 right there. Okay, now, should I? Yeah, I probably should. Now, I'm going to use a little trick here. 392 is the same thing as 196 times 2. Now, the square root of 196 is 14. So, just trying to help you out there. On number 19, you can finish that on your own, along with number 18, which may or may not have been done previously. But here we go. I'm trying to figure out the 5th root of 192. So, I'm going to hope that 32 goes into it again. So 32, does it go into one? Notice I didn't try any of these because these are all bigger than 192, so it wouldn't make any sense. So I'm looking back here. So I'm going to say that that's going to be in there 6 times. Yeah, I'm good with that. So then this is the 5th root of 2 to the 5th times 6. The 5th root of 2 to the 5th is 2, so 2 pops out, and I'm left with the 5th root of 6 unsimplified. There we go. 6 more problems. Let's roll it out. All right, now these have numbers in front, which means that they're being multiplied by whatever happens to happen inside. So let me take care of each one of these. So this is negative 4 times. Now, this is still a square root of 20. Now, 20, since we're dealing with square roots, breaks down to 4 times 5. So this negative 4 is coming down. It's following down here. Now, what is the square root of 4? 2. What's the square root of 5? It's the square root of 5. So you can't do anything with the 5, so it stays in. Then we simplify it. What's negative 4 times 2? That'd be negative 8 with a root 5 attached. So that's going to be 21 simplified for you. Next up, I have 5 hanging out here. 25 breaks down to 50 breaks down to 25 times 2. So working ahead of myself there. Here's this 5. What is the square root of 25? Well, that is 5. And then the square root of 2 is just the square root of 2. So then my simplified radical here is going to be 25 root 2, because 5 times 5 is 25. That one's in the books. All right. Now this is negative 5 on the outside, and then 98, I just remember, that's 49 times 2. So this is negative 5. Now what's the square root of 49? That's 7. And then what's the square root of 2? The square root of 2. So it should be negative 35 root 2. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you're thinking, what can I put in for work if I do all that in my head? You can put one of these two down there, and that'd be good enough work for me. Then, last but not least, that's why I have the work down here. I'm going to try right here. So 7, and then I have the 4th root. Now, 162 is the same thing as 81 times 2. So I have 7 here, and then I have the 4th root of 3 to the 4th times 2. So 7's here. The 4th root of 3 to the 4th is 3, and then I have the 4th root of 2. So then my final answer here, my simplified radical, is 21 4th root of 2. And that one's in the books now. All right? I'm going to do one more problem for you. You can handle number 25 on your own. 26, though. This is the largest radicand I've had yet, so I'm going to work with it here. That's 3. This is the 7th root. And I have negative 1, because it's negative. And then I have 128 times 4. Okay? Because 512 divided by 128 is 4. Now, the reason I use 128 is right down here. I gave you that little hint. So it's still the 7th. We can take the odd root of negative 1, so that's why it's there. This is 2 to the 7th times 4. So that 3 is on the outside. The the 7th root of negative 1 is negative 1. The 7th root of 2 to the 7th is 2. And then I have the 7th root of 4 that's just kind of hanging out. 4's staying inside, can't do much with it. And then I have 3 times negative 1 times 2 is negative 6. And then I have the 7th root before staying inside. Your homework is to finish the rest of the problems that I did not complete. Thank you.